Hi friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Jay, and today I want to run through some easy freezer breakfast recipes with you. If this past weekend was any indication of what the summer is going to look like, I'm going to be outside as often as I can be, very busy with projects, with the garden, etc. And I want to be able to grab something quickly, or for Tom if he wants a snack, or whatever the case may be. If you've got kids, there are so many reasons why having something in the freezer convenient that you can grab is a good thing. And personally, I love breakfast. So if I have something in the freezer, breakfast related, that's easy, that I just have to heat up, I'm definitely gonna go for it. So I wanna start stocking up my freezer with those things now before summertime fully is in swing, so that I'm stocked and prepared and ready for the busy season. So to start off, I'm gonna teach you how to, kind of make, and then most importantly, freeze pancakes. So I've never made pancakes the same way more than once. I'm constantly changing them, altering them, looking at new recipes, thinking of different ways to do it, buttermilk, non-buttermilk, because pancakes are so versatile, and I feel like I haven't found the one yet, you know? I haven't found that recipe that really I can't do without. So I'm always kind of altering it and changing it until someday I find that sweet spot. So I will put the recipe down in the description for you, but do with it what you will. If you have your own pancake recipe that you love already, use that. I'm more doing this to teach you how to freeze them. That's the important part here. So I will run through this with you very quickly. I've got my Azure Standard all-purpose flour here. We're going to use a cup and a half of this, 3 teaspoons of baking powder. I would say roughly like a teaspoon of vanilla. I just kind of like put a splash in. 1 egg, and normally I would say a cup and a half of milk, but I actually don't have any milk, at least that's thawed. I've got a bunch of milk in the freezer. So what I'm gonna do is, I have my heavy whipping cream that I always have. I'm gonna give that a shake. I'm gonna do 1 cup of heavy whipping cream and 1/4 cup of water, just to kind of thin that out a little bit. And lastly, roughly a tablespoon of sugar, however much you want, really. I don't really look at pancakes as baking. I definitely look at pancakes more as cooking. So, I mean, as long as you kind of roughly have the ingredients, you're gonna end up with some kind of pancake. The trick is the thickness. Do you want really thick pancakes? Because then you wanna go light on the liquid. Do you want thinner pancakes? Because then you wanna go heavy on the liquid. Now, the fun thing about pancakes is that they're so incredibly customizable. So you could add blueberries, you could add chocolate chips, you could put in a little, if you have like a hazelnut extract, you could put in a splash of that along with the vanilla. There's so many options. What I like to do, my go-to, is to put in a little bit of ground cinnamon and a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. Not a lot of the pumpkin pie spice, because I'm not making pumpkin pancakes, but it just adds a little bit of flavor. I've never thought that they tasted very pumpkin-y when I've done that. I think I'd have to add in a lot more, or even some pumpkin puree to have true pumpkin pancakes. So I just like it because it adds a little bit of extra depth to your pancakes. So this is the thickness of batter that we're working with here, and I actually think that this is kind of thick. So I'm gonna add in a splash of water, not heavy whipping cream, to kind of thin this out just a little. Now I've got this round cookie cutter, and this is what I'm gonna use to make the pancakes, and I'll show you my plan. I don't have it on yet, so this is cool to the touch, but I'm going to just plop this down in the center of my pan and pour the batter into the center of this, probably less than 1 inch if I can help it, because this is going to rise up and you don't want to have like a super ridiculously thick pancake, or at least I don't, you might. And then once it has started to kind of cook and bubble, I can lift this right off and flip it over. And that way all of my pancakes will be the same size, which is going to be really convenient for me when I'm trying to freeze them. So I'm going to cook these up and show you what we're going to do to freeze them. Okay, I've got all of my pancakes cooked up. Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lay them out on a cookie sheet. And notice that they're roughly all the same size because I used that cookie cutter. And then I've got some wax paper that I cut up into squares. And for each one, I'm gonna lay a piece of wax paper. Now, this step is not necessary if you've got tons of freezer space. I have like virtually no freezer space. So I have to put all of these on one cookie sheet. So you put the piece of wax paper so that they don't stick to each other. And stack them up. And I've got perfectly 12, that's awesome. And then this, you want to stick in the freezer just to get them, they don't have to be frozen like solid, but frozen enough that when you transfer them into the freezer bag that you're going to be storing them in, they don't stick to each other. So into the freezer these go. Okay friends, while the pancakes are in the freezer hardening, we're going to move on. The next one is actually the same recipe put together 2 different ways. And the reason I like this so much is because it makes you feel like you're switching things up. It's not the same exact, but it uses the same ingredients, so you can prepare a lot of one thing and make a lot of different meals with it. So what we're doing, breakfast bowls and also breakfast burritos, and I'm going to use the same ingredients for all of these. We're going to start with the breakfast bowls. I have these mason jars with their corresponding lids. I've got 4 of them. So we've got ground pork breakfast sausage that I browned on the stove. We've got scrambled eggs. I put a splash of heavy whipping cream, again no milk, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some pepper, and I just kind of roughly scrambled them. I did not scramble them completely because, for 2 reasons, I don't like well done eggs. And also, this is going to be put in the microwave after we've taken it out of the freezer on the day we want to eat it. And if you're cooking it, if you're heating it up from frozen, it's going to have to be in the microwave for a little while, probably like 2-3 minutes. And the eggs are likely going to cook a little bit more. So I left them not quite finished, still a little runny, the scrambled eggs. I've got some cheese that I've grated, and I've got a bag of freezer onions. This is actually my last bag of pre-chopped freezer onions, so I'm gonna have to get more of those. You could add so many other things. This is just what I have in the house right now, and I didn't want to have to go to the store because I'm doing my every 2 weeks grocery shopping trip. So normally I would love to put like some bell peppers, some spinach, some fresh garlic. You could do black beans, you could do salsa. There are so many different things that you could add to this. So do whatever suits you. You don't even have to use sausage. You could use bacon, you could use chicken, whatever you want. So I'm going to start by putting some of this ground sausage into the bottom of each of these. And then for each one, I'm going to put in like probably just 1 spoonful of onion. I don't want a ton of onion. And next I'm going to do the eggs. I only cooked up 5 eggs because I'm running low and I still have 4 days before I can go grocery shopping again. So I don't have a ton of egg here. So I'm definitely going to go really light on the egg. But that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to sprinkle. This is Colby Jack and mozzarella, 2 different cheeses that I just grated up quickly. I'm going to sprinkle some of this in here. Now, of course, you could get crazy and put lots of stuff in here, and you can put bigger amounts of each kind so that you have really nice looking full breakfast jars. But honestly, the amount that each of these has is perfect for what I would eat in one sitting. Probably not Tom. Tom would probably need a little bit more, but this is what we're doing because this is what I've got. So do whatever quantity, whatever ingredients you like. And then I've got my lids. All of this stuff is already cool because I did it while I was working on the pancakes. So none of this is hot because I would not recommend putting this in here with anything being really hot. And then we're going to put them in the fridge, let them cool down completely, and then we'll stick them in the freezer. And I don't feel the need to label them because they're not gonna last, and it's clear so you can see. I'm not really worried about the date. We'll probably honestly eat these in the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna stick these in the fridge. And then next up, we're gonna move on to the breakfast burritos, which are going to be exactly the same as what I just showed you, except in a burrito. But I will at least show you quickly my plan. So I've got some flour tortillas here. I'm gonna start with a layer of sausage, and if I end up having a lot of sausage left over, I might add some to the jars because I didn't feel like there was really a lot in the jars. Definitely don't have a lot of egg, but I get my chickens in 2 weeks, which I know it's going to be a long time before I get eggs, but hey, I'm headed in the right direction at least, you know. Cannot wait for that. Some onions. Oh, I wish I had peppers. I could have bought peppers because I knew I was doing this when I went to the store last week, but I just cannot bring myself to buy store-bought bell peppers. I can't do it. But I'm growing my own, so I will certainly cook with them every chance I get this coming summer. Put in a little bit of cheese here, and then what I'm gonna do, hopefully you can see this well, I take it like this. See how I've got my fingers, or you can use these fingers, and I make it like that, and then I fold it over. You want to make sure that, because this is sticking out, you want to kind of fold that in a little bit. Put pressure right here as you roll again, and that keeps everything nice and tight. And then again, you'll have to keep an eye on this because it wants to flare out. Kind of bring it in while you're keeping pressure right here, and fold it again. And then that gives you this perfect little seal here. I hope that you were able to see that. And then just kind of push down as you roll, and you've got a nice tight rolled up breakfast burrito. Now, what I'm going to do, but this is optional, I'm gonna put a little bit of butter on this side, a little bit of butter on this side, and I am gonna toast them on the stove just for a second, just to brown them a little bit. And that way, it'll help keep this together, and it won't be so soft, which I know it's still gonna be soft when you take it out of the freezer, but it won't be as soft, because I don't really like soft. I like crunch. I like there to be a crunch. So I'm gonna go ahead and butter both sides, and I'm gonna butter right along the seam here. And then when I toast that on the stove, it'll help keep that in one piece. And I'll do the other side too. And it doesn't take very long. I probably toast them for close to a minute, maybe a little less on each side. I love breakfast sausage. I've been snacking on it while I was making the pancakes. So good. I like bacon too though. I do wish that I had a little bit of salsa. I think throwing some salsa on these would be a really nice touch. I do not have any to think that far ahead, but salsa would be a good touch. So I had enough stuff left to make one more, but the bags that we're gonna use today can only fit 3, so instead of starting a new bag, I'm just gonna eat this one for lunch. But we do still have enough sausage left for me to throw some more sausage in these, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick, because I don't really have anything else that I can use this for at the moment, so it seems like a good use to me. I've left these out to cool a little bit. Can you tell that they got consecutively more burnt as I put them on the stove? That's okay, I don't care. So we're going to shove them into this, I think this is a quart size freezer bag. I want to say it's a quart size. And I think I'll be able to squeeze all 3 of them in here. Let's see. Oh, it's going to be tight. See if I can get it to close, that's the question. And then, this is totally not the professional way to do this, but I always leave a little corner open, not closed yet. And I suck the air out. Does anybody else do that? Don't do it with onions because you will get an instant headache. All right, so actually these are still pretty warm, so I'm gonna put them in the fridge for a few minutes, let them cool down, and then I'll stick them into the freezer. Let me grab the pancakes because I think they're probably good and cool. Yep, these are hard enough that they won't stick to each other. So I'm gonna I'll leave the wax paper between them because why not? And this is the bag that I have for them. I labeled it pancakes and I put today's date. And I'm not really that worried about it because I'll definitely eat these before they'll be, I don't know, freezer burnt. I've never had anybody say, or I've never heard anybody say that pancakes can only be frozen for a certain amount of time. They last. I mean, it's the same as bread. I've had bread in the freezer for a long time and it hasn't gone bad. So I would say that these would probably be fine in there for a while, but it's not a concern for me because these will be gone probably in 3 weeks. All right. And that technique doesn't get all the air out, but it gets some. All right, so we've got our pancakes, we've got our breakfast burritos, and we've got our breakfast bowls. And these two items used all the same ingredients, just different versions of the same thing. And then we've got our pancakes that are all the same size, really convenient. You just open the bag, reach in, and get out however many you want. And with them being frozen, it's just the same thing as a freezer waffle, or I think they sell freezer pancakes. You just stick them in the toaster. And I always put mine in and then let it do its thing, and then when it comes up, I take it out and I flip it and I put it back down for the same amount of time. So that's what I'll do for these. This guy, I used to make these smaller. I used to get the smaller tortillas and put them in this size bag, the sandwich bags. And then I would open the take it out of the freezer, I'd open the sandwich bag and do this so that it would stay open. And then I would microwave the whole thing, like it in the plastic bag. That way I could just take the plastic bag with me and I could eat it like in the car or something. I am not gonna do that anymore, and I do not recommend that. Even though these are BPA free from Azure Standard, I still just don't think microwaving anything in a sandwich bag is a good idea. So I would take these out, put them on a plate, microwave them from frozen, probably 60 to a minute and a half, I'd say. And then if you want the outside to be crunchy, you can throw it in the stove for a second, or if you have a toaster oven, you could use that. And then these guys, I would just take the lid off, throw this in the microwave. Just be careful because this is gonna be hot. So that's the only downside to using these. If you have other containers that you'd rather put them in, that's fine. I just have these, so that's why I use these.
Hello, Editing Jaylee here. So I've actually been eating the mason jar breakfast bowls that I made, and I just wanted to stop in and let you know that when you put them in the microwave, put them on the defrost mode, because you don't want to thermal shock your jars, which is where you take something really cold and make it hot very suddenly. They can crack. So put them in the microwave on defrost mode for however long you think. They do it by weight, so it depends on how much stuff you have in your jar, so I can't tell you that. But just be careful, and it's not even a concern for you if you put these in Tupperware containers instead of jars. It's just if you use glass.
So yeah, that's what I have for you. Now, keep in mind that there are so many different breakfast freezer recipes out there, and I'm sure I'll be showing you more in the future, because breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I love breakfast food, but I figured this would be a really nice way to kind of ease into it and get something in the freezer even when you don't have a lot of ingredients. Like I don't have a lot of ingredients right now. You know, and just to get something going, some kind of meal already prepped, so that you've got something in the freezer. You can grab it if you need to really quickly. But I'll be showing you more stuff like this in the future. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you like this and you want to see more freezer meal recipe ideas in the upcoming future, please consider subscribing. And if you have any suggestions, if you have any freezer meals that you really love, please drop them in the comments for me, and I'll take a look and see if it's something that maybe I want to start incorporating for me and Tom. So thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome day. Bye.